All right, and now, first item on the agenda is recognition, and it's special recognition for Samantha Stresler for earning her Girl Scout Gold Award. And it's this board's honor and privilege to recognize someone achieving the Gold Award, and especially in supports of the Girl Scouts of the United States of America. I was informed about the correct title of that recently, and I wanted to make sure I got it right. Either Samantha or perhaps another representative would you like to come up and tell us what the Gold Award is, so everybody watching on TV knows what it is? If you feel comfortable doing that, we'd love to have you do it. Stand right here at the podium, and you can just face us. The camera will catch you, and the mic is right there on the podium, so you can speak at us as if there's nobody else in the room, and forget about the millions of people watching at home.
Great.
Millions.
So the Girl Scout Gold Award is a self-initiated project where the Girl Scout must do an 80-hour service requirement. It can be any type of form that you'd like, and you have to do it on your own and recruit a team to help you.
Very good. All right, now, does every Girl Scout kind of get to the Gold Award, or is it only a select few?
Only a select few.
Do you have an idea of what percentage that is, perhaps?
No, not at all.
Okay, it's not everybody, because
No,
we
definitely
don't
not.
get to recognize all that many people here.
No.
Right.
All right. Lori, did you have any
Well,
questions?
I'm a little curious what your project was.
Sure. So I am very interested in nutrition as an athlete. I definitely look at what I put into my body, and I know that Fairfield is a great town and we all know about nutrition, but I wanted to teach the tweens because when families go to a supermarket, they always ask their kids, what would you like to eat for dinner tonight? So they have a big decision and a big role in deciding what comes home to the family dinner table. So I decided to do a 5-week seminar at the library where I instructed children and tweens on genetically modified organisms, nutrition, how to have healthy habits, and at each seminar there was a cooking component.
Nice.
Thank you.
Anything else?
And did you work with a team of other people?
I did. So I worked with nutritionists and dietitians, and I brought in speakers to the seminars, and I worked with my mom and
Wow.
a couple other people to make this happen.
That's great.
Okay. Who are some of the key players in supporting you in your effort to win the Gold Award?
Definitely. So the key players were definitely my mom and my leader, Miss Lorraine Westervelt, and of course my mentor, Miss Paula Fromm, and they definitely helped me and encouraged me along the way. My mom and Miss Westervelt to continue with Girl Scouts all the way to this level, and then my mentor to support me on this journey as well.
Okay. And what Girl Scout troop are you in?
33189.
Okay. Are you the first Gold Award winner for that troop?
Yes.
Oh, wow, for the whole troop?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
How cool is that?
Thank
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank
And certainly
you.
congratulations to your parents. We do have a proclamation from the town
Oh.
to honor you, and I won't read all of it, though it does say a few things, like this award is given out to less than 6% of all the girls who participate, and it recognizes those who demonstrate extraordinary leadership through remarkable take-action projects that have sustainable impact in their communities. And I think you showed great vision in terms of the project that you picked and the type of sustainability you were looking for there in terms of having a lasting impact. And my compliments to you on
Thank
that.
you very much.
You know, obviously this takes a lot of time as you go through that. I am impressed as I talk to Girl Scouts and also Boy Scouts who win the Eagle Scout, and this is the equivalent award for Girl Scouts, in terms of not only what they do within scouting, but their excellence in other activities so that you don't lose focus. And as I look at this, outside of scouting, you were co-captain of the debate team. That's got to make it tough on your mom. President of the Latin Club. And I learned Latin at an early age for a different reason, but
Okay.
I respect how hard that is because it's not like any other language
No, definitely
necessarily
not.
that we're learning. A member of the National Honor Society, the Tri-M Music Honor Society, the Spanish Honor Society, and the Latin Honor Society. Are there any other honor societies, or did you get them all?
Just about.
You also play varsity tennis. You're a co-president of the Town Youth Council and president of the local chapter of the BBYO, which I understand is a Jewish youth organization. So I'm just impressed with the level of achievement, not only within Girl Scouts, but also outside of Girl Scouts. So I compliment you, because the larger value set, I think that's important, is that you have a value set of doing your best in every single activity undertake, and sustainable excellence throughout all your activities. So I think you're a great example to the
Thank
other
you.
young women, and frankly to a whole lot of our adults as you go through
Thank
that.
Sure.
So I'd say, shall we
Sure.
present unless there's anybody from the Girl Scout organization that wants to say a few words?
Which school are you at?
Fairfield Ward,
You're at Ward, okay. Are you a senior or junior?
Senior.
So where are you off to next year?
Wake Forest.
Oh, nice.
Wow, very
That's
good.
great, congratulations.
Lori, shall we present the proclamation?
Yes.
All right. Good. Come on over here. And I should mention, it also says on here, I, Michael C. Tetro, first selectman of the town of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim May 25th, 2016 as Samantha Stretchler Day throughout the town of Fairfield. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We indulge Mom with two. And then forward this one. Thanks. Got taken out of video mode, sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Congrats again.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Huh? That's very nice. Okay.
All right, thank you, and we'll be moving on. We have, next item 4. Yes, I should point out, Samantha, you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
She's getting another honor award, so.
Oh, wow.
Wow, congratulations again,
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
congrats to the parents. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
The item 4 on the agenda is resignations. We have a resignation from the Clean Energy Task Force, David Downey, a Democrat from 655 Warner Hill Road, and his resignation date was May 8th. Let's see, there are 2 of us, so we can do this. Next up is appointments, and Mr. Timiak, Selectman Timiak is on his way here. We've received a text message and constant updates, so we know he's going to be here shortly. But we're going to move this item to later in the agenda. If I can have a motion to do that,
I'll make a motion to move that.
and I'll second it, and we can put it right after item 9, so we can take that up after item 9.
Do we need to vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
And since we have a 2/3 majority, and it
We'll
takes a
pass.
2/3 majority, we're there. Next up, we have a report from the town clerk and animal control. To hear a report from the town clerk and animal control on dog licensing. That's my understanding. The town clerk couldn't join us today, but Mr. Miller, are you prepared to take us through our report?
I am prepared.
All right, thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Mike. We're not going to make this too long, but I'm going to stress today, in my budget talks with First Selectman Tetro, that we had discussed how dog licensing was stagnant, that dog licensing was not increasing every year. And actually, shortly after this, I received a call from Frank Robato, who's the head of the State of Connecticut Animal Population Control Program, who stated that dog licensing was basically going down in the entire state.
Wow.
And we don't know why. It's probably because it's not being pursued as actively as it could be due to budget restraints, less people, less staff, that kind of thing. We have discussed certain ways that we wanted to approach this. Fairfield has the 3rd most licensed dogs in the state of Connecticut. That's okay, but I think that we could do better, and I think we can approach this subject with some creativity
Paul,
also.
which towns have more dogs than Fairfield?
Mike, you would never guess it. I think it's Enfield and Manchester.
Wow.
The cities are way down the spectrum on licensing for whatever reason. So cities the size of Waterbury with over 100,000 people are towards the lower spectrum of dog licensing. Basically, a brief history of dog licensing in the state of Connecticut. In the 1800s, dog licensing was mandatory. In the town of Fairfield, former head of state animal control, Tom Simon, sent me something one time that said you were actually allowed to shoot a roaming dog without a dog license in Fairfield. If you showed proof that that dog did not have license and brought it to the town clerk, you would get a $1 bounty for that dog, because Fairfield was, at that time, an agricultural community. If you have a roaming dog that's killing your chickens, agitating your cows, your livestock, you're ruining people's ability to eat. So
Just
it
to be
would,
clear, that's not still the law.
that is not still the
People at home
law.
are going to be.
No.
Just want to be absolutely certain about that.
But, so you can see that it's not just today that the state and the towns have taken dog licensing seriously. In 1935 was the first mention of dog wardens in Fairfield. Police department up to that time did the functioning of picking up dogs, maintaining dogs, roaming dogs, enforcement, that kind of thing. Of course, there was no rabies vaccines that were mandatory to license. You just went in and got a license because they needed it for identification purposes. In 1988, when I started working here as an animal control officer, it was dog warden back then. You were required to have a rabies shot only when you licensed your dog. After you licensed your dog, your rabies shot could expire and you would be legal. It was meant to promote health care for a dog, but it was not meant to be mandatory all the time. In 1991, the current rabies endemic, which is still here, the mid-Atlantic strain of rabies hit the area, and it was then made mandatory by the state that all cats and dogs 3 months of age must have a valid rabies shot at all times.
And that's
And
cats and dogs?
Cats and dogs. But only dogs are required to be licensed by the state, and now they were required to have the mandatory rabies shot at all times to get the dogs licensed. In 1995, the state of Connecticut started a program. It was absolutely a beneficial program. I have some handouts on it. It's the Connecticut State Animal Control Population Program. What this program does is it allows everyone that adopts a dog from a shelter, a state shelter, a chance to get that animal spayed and vaccinated for $50. The program was off to a rocky start because it relied on dog license income. Dog license income that the town and the state made from dog licenses. Basically what they discovered is that it was an expensive program. The program was discontinued and then started up. And what happened was amazing. Since 1995, the state of Connecticut now impounds dramatically less dogs, and all the shelters combined sell and adopt more dogs than they did in 1995. So that means that this program is working. The surcharge, everything that's leaving a town shelter is getting, or virtually everything, is getting spayed, neutered, and vaccinated. So this program relies on dog licensing. So when we say, and I commonly ask people, do you know about that your dog should be licensed? And they say, I never even knew about it, but I figure it's just a way for the state to make money. Well, sure it is. Anything that has a fee is to make money. But one of the most important things that this program does is it funds the Connecticut Animal Control Population Program. And that program is currently somewhat endangered because dog licensing is going down in the state. So one of the things that we do is we do our routine enforcement, and we have contact with select individuals who violate the law, and we check them for a license and enforce accordingly. But that is such a small percentage of the population. And what we did is we brainstormed and we tried to figure out how can we create a better environment. How can we possibly create more dog licenses by people who actually want to license their dogs? And that's through stressing the benefits. And what we wanted to do is do our usual dog license follow-ups along with some creative new measures. Now, what I'd like to do is introduce you to our part-time animal control officer on the weekend. His name is Flip Andrade. Flip is a somewhat accomplished actor. He knows theater very well, he knows media very well. He's going to use his expertise to try to promote dog licensing through various media opportunities, I'm going to say. Some of the ideas that we have to be cost effective. We have a limited budget, but we have an unlimited creative opportunity here. And what I want to do is have Flip come up and explain what one of our ideas of many is. But what you're going to see is you're probably going to see a lot more information on dog licensing to promote why you should license your dog. And it's not just to make more money for the state.
Well, just one quick question before Mr. Flip
Yes.
comes up.
Sure.
How many dogs would you estimate that we have in Fairfield?
We have, every year we have about 3,400 dogs licensed. There's different ways that you can try to figure out per dwelling or something, but there's at least another 2,000 dogs out there that are unlicensed, at least, if not more.
So
And dogs are kind of transient in nature. Sometimes people get them, they give them away, they come in, that kind of thing. But we know that there's a lot out there.
So
There's
just
a
to
target
get a
area.
handle on that, and that's
Yeah.
just dogs now, not
Right.
dogs and cats, but
Right.
just dogs. It's 3,000 plus, let's say your 2,000 is a
Right.
good number, that's 5,000 in
Sure,
total.
sure,
So that means 1 out of every 2 school children has a dog,
right,
because we have about 10,000 school kids in
sure,
town.
sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. And the benefits of dog licensing, which we're not going to cover usually, we need to know exactly where that dog comes from in an emergency. That's the most important thing. Just like a car, just like a vehicle. If there's an accident, if there's a problem, if there's a disturbance, we need to know exactly, and that dog license gives us rabies information, owner information right away. So,
Thank you, sorry to
okay,
interrupt.
that's okay. Flip?
Hello. My name is Flip Andrade. I work with Paul at Animal Control. And I have an idea that I want to present for a commercial. If you want to look at that. I saw you didn't have a pencil or to write things down. If you want that, Animal Control. Perfect. All right, so the idea of this commercial is to try to get the population to get dog licensing. So why should we get our dog licensed? If we tell people it's the law, they might not do exactly what we want them to do. So we want the dog owners to want to get the dog license. So we are trying to do a commercial to invest in the emotional connection that people have with their pets, and hopefully have them want to protect their pets even more, which would be a dog license. They can get back to their home like quick, effective, so we don't have to be calling, getting it chipped, calling Ohio, and trying to figure out where this dog belongs, which is like down the street, and we have to call different states just to get to that. So Animal Control wants to be seen as the hero, and we want to be there to save the day. And usually it's to get the dog home safe and sound, people are happy, and then no headaches. And the other point I wanted to mention is we do have a couple of successful Fairfield residents, and one of them being Justin Long. He's a famous Hollywood actor. He's born and raised in Fairfield. So we're still trying to see if he would like to participate in a commercial, and if not acting, lending his voice, and if not that, we will just go otherwise just as planned. We'll just continue doing what we're doing. And for my last point, if there's something that you would like to be involved in, we can make a meeting to introduce the director. She's actually the director of the concept art that we have there to present the idea, and she can break it down, explain everything. So we're just looking at radio and TV commercials, and hopefully grow from there.
Are you looking at doing this and using social media in any way, from
Yes.
YouTube to Facebook?
Everything we could get our hands on.
Now, is there a Facebook page for the animal shelter?
There is. It's Fairfield Animal Control in Facebook. If you search that, you will get our page. And usually we have adoptions, dogs that are that we get in. We take pictures, we put them. We put a little story there, so people empathize more with the animals and hopefully adopt them more. I don't know if if it's we. Sorry, I'm like losing my wording. We have a very low population right now in the shelter. We've been having a great adoption year. We have 8 dogs, and last
Wow.
year we had it packed. We couldn't find an empty cage, so it's actually working. People are wanting to adopt more rescues, so we just want for people to be aware of the dog licensing that goes with the adoption as well.
Right.
So that's all I
Very good.
have.
Any questions, guys?
When do you want the commercial to start, or
Uh,
are you
so-
asking us for something out of the commercial? or-
No,
Okay.
this is just so we can include you.
Okay.
So we're all on the same page, so you all know what we're doing. Because our plan is just to better, to be number one for dog licensing in the state of Connecticut, since the other one's Manchester and Enfield. So they have a leg on us, so we want to be number one. So
Yeah. I'm amazed that we're number 3 on one level, because I didn't realize, I know it, and I suspect my colleagues have seen the same thing. When we go around campaigning and we're knocking on doors, it's like every time you knock on a door, you hear a dog bark. So it's like everybody has a dog in Fairfield.
exactly.
It does feel like that.
Though obviously they're not all licensed, so at some point we want to increase our penetration on the licensing end of things.
I keep-
And I assume that if there was any other Fairfield famous people that, besides Justin Long, that might want to, that might like dogs, might want to help us with the licensing effort, they were to contact our animal shelter and offer their voice to
course.
help with this.
We were also talking about John Mayer, but I think that Justin Long is the first choice, and then we'll go down from there. There's a ton of successful people in Fairfield. We have no doubt about that.
Okay.
So we just have to start somewhere and then go from there. Yeah, it's so. I've been to people's houses, something about their dogs, and then I ask them if they have the dog license. They just look at me. That's the first time they ever heard it, and we definitely want to stop that. So we want to make people aware.
To your point before about how many kids would probably, on average, have a dog, that might be a way to reach households if the kids were to bring something home from school about the licensing, or if we came up with some kind of a program or something like that.
Well, that, and also, in a prior life, I was a realtor, and one of the stats, it's an amazing number of people that when they buy a new home, also buy a dog.
Yeah, it's part of the dream.
So that perhaps working with the realtors, when they sell somebody a house as part of the closing, they can make sure that they have all the information to get their dog license for its
Yeah,
new
that's a
home.
good point.
That would be great. Yes.
Yeah.
So you might want to work with the Greater Fairfield Board of Realtors on some of
Okay.
that information. in terms
That
of
way,
getting
right off the bat, make everyone aware. No
Right, as soon as
excuses.
they move in, they know.
They know exactly. Okay, I like that idea already. Yeah.
Anything else at this point?
Thank you, Father.
No, yeah,
All right.
thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that the reason we started thinking of this is, in the past, I heard Bridgeport Animal Control Officer, who's no longer there, but he had some excellent public service spots on WICC, and every morning during drive time, I'd drive to work, and I'd hear him, and Bridgeport was having a problem with people keeping roaming dogs and not turning them in. And he said, "This is Jimmy Gonzalez, Bridgeport Animal Control Officer." It was professionally done, it was a public service announcement, and it was on every single day, and it got the point across. It accessed a lot of people. So we're trying to be more creative than we have, because I think we can be. And the point we're trying to make is we know we can do better with this. We know we can raise the numbers up, and we're still going to have, I think, a little bit of fun doing it, too.
Yeah. You might also,
Yeah,
in the spirit of competition,
yeah.
start a competition among elementary schools to see which school has the most licensed dogs.
Absolutely. In fact, what goes along with the Girl Scout Award today is just before we came here, a Girl Scout stopped at the shelter with the theater experience, much like Flip, and wants to be on board to help with this project because she wants to help get her Eagle badge.
See, and I thought it was a new line of products for the Girl Scouts selling
Yeah,
dog biscuits
yeah.
as opposed to just
The-
cookies.
But the Girl Scouts, they're helpful, they're everywhere, and they're beneficial to the town.
Excellent.
So, good for them.
Excellent. Paul,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, next up,
Yeah. That looks
from the
good.
Fairfield Theater Company, to hear a report from the Fairfield Theater Company on plans to build out the unused space above the backstage area and offices to further improve and expand the use of the facility. Mr. Reed.
Thank you, sir. Sunny, how are you? Good. First, just want to thank you for allowing me to come and present before you. And a little over, not quite 2 years ago, we came and talked about the idea of building a new venue, the warehouse at FTC. And I know, having been in the organization a little over 4 years, I heard a little bit of, we've heard this before, but I'd just like to say that we actually got it done on time, within budget, and I hope you've all had a chance to experience it.
It's a
And
lot of fun.
Phenomenal
It's great.
addition to downtown, and thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you so much. And now we just want to finish building out the rest of the, we'd like to, really, your permission as our landlord, under the auspices of our lease, to invest about another million, 1.1 capital improvements. And without getting too much detail, really, now that we've got 2 venues operating and just quite a number of shows and events going on, our green room space downstairs has become a little tight, and our offices are actually within the green room. So the goal is to take the unused portion, which is roughly 3,000 square feet. And we have been, I will say that under the warehouse project, we did some major improvements. We put HVAC system, because we put a sprinkler system up there, and for a sprinkler system not to freeze in the winter, we had to condition the air. So we've invested several thousands of dollars to begin with, and so at this point, we'd like to move forward and really move our offices that are downstairs, upstairs, build that space out. And at the end of this, the entire complex, inside and outside, should be complete. And, you know, just to, I think you've seen the results of the work we've done so far. Well, we've got the backside, the Umpqua side left. It's a little long in the tooth back there. And the drawings here are, I'm going to say, version 2 of the plans. Michael Smith Architects, who Michael lives in town, but they've generously donated their architectural expertise to us, as they did for the warehouse. And so this kind of give you an overview of it. And when all is said and done, downstairs we'll have 4 dressing rooms instead of 2, 2 green rooms, 1 for the warehouse and 1 for stage 1, some recording and editing space. And then upstairs, we'll move our offices, with the exception of the production office. And then we also want to add some rehearsal rooms. One of the things, we have some children's programs, the Saturday morning kids program, which takes some underserved kids and provides them one-on-one music education, which is supported by FTC and our donors, as well as a summer cabaret workshop where we have children that's been going on for years, training children in musical theater, and they're spread out all over the theater. We don't really have any soundproof proper rehearsal rooms, so that would be, as you walked in off of Umpqua, and by the way, that bridge has been derelict probably for a few decades now, and that entrance not used, but I'm just envisioning the kids. My daughter went to Tomlinson and then to the Ludlows. I'm envisioning kids coming down, walking down the street, being able to come in and private music lessons, workshops with some of our visiting musicians, et cetera. So I don't want to get into too much detail, but I'd be happy to answer your question. Also, I'd like to acknowledge Lou Human, our vice chair of the board. Charlie showed up. Also, Lou, did anything you'd like to say?
Is it the appropriate time for me to come up?
Please. It's your presentation.
Want me to tell you who I am?
Yes, please.
Lou Human, 494 Harper Road in Southport. I'm the vice chair of the board, and Charlie's here. I also want to point out Georgiana Platt, who's the wife of our ex-chair Ira Platt. And I'm here on behalf of the board to just tell you that the Phase 3 project continues FTC's expansion, helping us meet the goals of our growing calendar and list of incredible programming offerings. As John mentioned, the capital improvements bring significant enhancements and advancements both inside and out to the FTC campus on Sanford Street and now on Umpqua Road. Now that the warehouse has been open 8 months, the needs of the organization have changed in a really great way. The community wants more of what we do. This project will permit us to continue to do the good work that has brought us local and state accolades over the last 2 years, and to continue bringing people together to experience the transforming power of the arts, which is our mission. Thank you.
Thank you.
And implied, I should say overtly, we think that the economic benefit to the community is significant. The more patrons we bring, if you think about it, we've been doing shows in a number of venues outside of Fairfield, the Klein Auditorium in Bridgeport, Norwalk Concert Hall. Well, most of those patrons are now coming through the warehouse. So we expect, I'm going to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 people this year to come through our doors. And I think you all saw the research came out a few years ago that indicates that for every ticket buyer spends an average of somewhere $26 to $28 in surrounding businesses. So we do think that it's a boon to the town of Fairfield, not only in the improvements to the property, obviously, and taking a property that was, I'm going to say, not fully utilized, and now to be able to utilize every square inch of it. I'm kind of excited about that. Just a little story. When we did the warehouse renovation, we had to do some renovation to the loft. We took out an old freight elevator that had been decommissioned, and we found a clipping of a Babe Ruth baseball game from the 1940s stuck back there, and I thought, this is the first time this has seen the light of day in really long times.
Wow.
So it's exciting to think of this public property just becoming one more great asset.
Oh, yes. And you guys certainly have done a great job. I know I was having dinner in a local restaurant, and you could tell when the show started, because literally the entire restaurant got up and left to go make the curtain time. And,
I like to note to the restaurant owners, they wouldn't have been there had it not been for the show, so they're not abandoning the
well,
food.
it gave them plenty of room for the second seating. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Any questions from you guys?
I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I love the loft. I love the way you're doing more in the facility than just music. I bought some Christmas presents this year there and some winter pop-up market,
Right.
which was fantastic. And I remember that lighting up my social media, and that sort of got me in the routine of checking your website more frequently to see what's going on there. There is a show I'm interested in going to see later on this summer. I'm excited about, so I look forward to using it. And this plan actually looks really, really good. And what you've done so far certainly proves that you're capable of pulling this off. I have a question on the patio over here. Is this patio intended for like staff and office personnel, or
It's primarily for the artists,
Artists.
for the artists, and it would, I mean, staff now, our production staff.
so it wouldn't be for patrons to?
No, not in the back,
Right.
but there is, if you look at the page 3, you'll see that we have a couple of areas, one outside of stage 1 and one outside on the train side of the warehouse, that will also have some covered area for staff. We call it sort of a cafe, which is, in quotes, we're not serving food there.
Well, I have you here. Have you heard any complaints or any issues regarding parking from outside residents
So-
coming to town?
Assuming this is wood, and I will tell you to my great surprise, I haven't had a single complaint about parking from our patrons. We send a concierge email before every show that outlines where people can park legally free for all. And it's mostly we're pointing them to transit parking, for example, because most of our shows are evenings and weekends. We've had the Fairfield Police Department has been very helpful, as has Mark Barnhart, in terms of, there are times we block off the parking lot, for example, for the pop shop. Some corporate events that take place during the week, which I think is advantageous, again, because you think of a corporate event, bringing 200 or 300 of their employees from around the region to downtown Fairfield. So far, the parking plan, as we had hoped, has really worked out well.
I've heard all good things, and I know it's created a new buzz amongst my circle of friends too, so thank you for the work you put into it.
Yep. Laura, any comments?
Yeah, no, just, I can reiterate what they've both said and just add to it that I think it's great that you're looking to utilize the space more, make it more usable for the kids, and make it usable during the day as in addition to at night. Makes it a real part of the community. So,
All right, and two things, just to clarify for anybody who's listening to part of this, the $1 million that you're going to raise to do this, that's all non-tax dollars. That's all from private contributions outside, correct?
Well, I shouldn't say that. We're seeking some state funding.
Okay.
We're seeking, if the warehouse was an example, we received a Business Express loan from the state in the amount of $300,000 for that, part of which is forgivable as we prove the amount of FTE or full-time equivalents that have been generated as a result of the new venue. So we will seek public funding at a state level.
No, it's great to see that we're taking advantage of some of the state programs for tourism and other things, and that we have a venue like yours so we can get some of that money back into town. So I think taking advantage of that from my standpoint makes perfect sense. In terms of your development, the walkway and the outside of the building from the Umpqua side, are you going to be doing any renovation or kind of beautification along those lines?
Yes, all of that. If you've seen the beautification, if you will, took place on the Sanford Street side and the other side, I'd like the whole building to look like that. I mean, I think it should be not an eyesore when you walk down Umpqua, and the bridge will need to be, we're not sure until we have structural engineers in there, but to make it handicap accessible, we may have to do some work to bring that at a lower level where it hits the sidewalk, but we want to rebuild that, the covered part of it. We just think that's sort of an historical, artifact, if you will. The old covered bridges you don't see around anymore. So basically, all that needs to be done. I should also say that Public Works was very helpful with the warehouse and those things that were, I would say, under the purview of Public Works, and I expect that we'll have that same collegial relationship with them.
Very good. Thank you. And thank you for the update, and good luck. And again, phenomenal job on the warehouse.
Thank you so much. I go to our board meeting from here, and if I may report that we're thumbs up and ready to roll, then we're going to get it going.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Just to be clear for the board, in talking to the town attorney, because it's described within the lease that currently exists, theoretically, the first selectman has authority to kind of continue with that, but I wanted to make sure it came before the board so everybody was aware of what was taking place.
Yep,
So
no,
just-
great, appreciate that.
We're aware.
Thank you for your support, and I apologize. I will be leaving so I can go to my other board meeting. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
John, thank you. Thank you, Lou. Andy, thank you very much. Leave this over here. Next up, from the Fairfield Museum and History Center. To hear following from the director of the Fairfield Museum and History Center. Mr. Jaley, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Good evening, everybody. Mike Jaley, Fairfield Museum. Lots going on to report, so I'll try to be inclusive but brief. There are a number of projects that are ongoing. You may recall the last time I was here, it was to get your approval of an updated town management agreement for the historic properties. We've moved forward very quickly over the last couple months to implement some long-planned projects at Burr Mansion, Sun Tavern, Victorian Cottage, and Barn. At the Burr Mansion, and I'm joined here by Georgiana Platt, who's our Burr Mansion manager. We're very fortunate, and just let me say a word about the town management agreement. One of the great values, and a lot of communities have looked at this agreement that we drafted with this town as a great model for public-private cooperation to really drive forward these preservation and restoration projects. With Burr Mansion, that facility has been used in excess of 30 years as one of the premier event rental spaces for weddings, community events, public fundraisers here in the town. There has not been, over that time, really much capital investment in that property at all. And as a result, a lot of the systems, electrical, plumbing, fire, were far outdated, and just the facility itself was very run down. We were very successful working with the town and the Economic Development Office to obtain a $500,000 STEEP grant from the state of Connecticut last year, in addition to about $100,000 in HUD, Community Development Block Grant money. The town of Fairfield also last year allocated $150,000 for a total of $750,000 to do really the first phase of very extensive upgrades and renovations to the property. So what's happening with that money? So we have completed a full replacement of all the electrical systems in the building. We've also upgraded the service to an 800 amp service so that if there's a decision later on to provide air conditioning, it's capable of doing that. We have replaced all the existing plumbing. We are now, hopefully in a matter of days, just waiting for the fire marshal to sign off on the building permit. We'll be beginning to add new ADA accessible bathrooms in the building. There have been historically only 2 bathrooms on the first floor. We will now be putting in 5. So that's a great upgrade. We will also be putting in new space for kitchen facilities. The existing budget did not allow us at this stage to buy the appliances and the fittings outs of that, but we're working on raising private funding to be able to do that. We've also put in a brand new fire alarm system, been working very closely with the fire marshal to upgrade the fire capabilities of the building. And at the end of that work, we will be removing the fire escape off the exterior of the building to really improve its exterior. So,
And just to be clear there, that's after you've built a second stairway internally?
yes. So there's a new fire egress being added to the inside of the building. So there's a lot going on. So you'll be seeing this rolling out over the next couple months. We're very fortunate to work with a great group of people from DPW, the Selectmen's office, and what have you, to move this project forward. With Sun Tavern, we have been, as you know, chipping away over the last decade on renovations to that property. We have obtained state funding to complete the renovation of that work. We are also going to be adding handicap accessible ramp to the back of the building to allow handicap accessibility into that. We've also received grant funding to put new exhibits in the property as well. So we are anticipating that Sun Tavern, along with Victorian Cottage and Barn, will be open next spring to the community.
Wow.
And I'll speak a little bit about that in a second. With Victorian Cottage, this little green structure right next to us here at Sullivan Hall, that building was saved from demolition probably 15 years ago or so, maybe more, but has always just been an empty shell because the funding sort of ran out for that. We were very successful in obtaining a grant from the state under a new grant line called Good to Great, which is through the Department of Economic and Community Development, specifically designed to invest in these kind of creative placemaking spaces. So to invest in communities, to create culture spaces that can drive tourism, that can drive economic development. It's important to note, and I think we're very proud, that our application for this project was the highest rated in the entire state for this grant line. We received the highest level of funding for that, $125,000. The Fairfield Rotary Foundation has also very generously committed a $75,000 grant, the biggest grant they've ever done, and the biggest grant since they worked on the library. The museum has kicked in some money as well, and we have additional money coming from the State Humanities Council. So we have gobbled together outside funding, again through this management agreement, public-private partnership, the sufficient funds to complete the renovation of Victorian Cottage, upgrade the barn, put new handicap accessibility in those two buildings, and install what's really exciting in the Victorian barn, a brand new children's community education facility. That's what the Rotary money is funding. All this which will open up next spring, next June. So we're very excited that this is all coming together finally after many years of working. What this is part and parcel of, and I'm happy to talk about it here or answer questions, I don't want to belabor my time too much, but you know, the museum has been working very closely with the town over the years to look at this extraordinary resource we sit on here, this cultural resource called the Town Green, which is really unique in many communities in the state, and to explore ways to leverage its resources, its existing resources, and to make it more of a center for arts, culture, and history for this community, but also to be in a way that's sensitive to its neighborhood environment, much like FTC, a place that draws people to Fairfield. So a place that drives greater cultural tourism for this community and what have you. So we are working very closely with, and I'm sorry John had to leave, we're working very closely with our cultural partners in the community to explore ways that we can continue to make the Green a really valuable center for arts and culture. So that will be rolling out 2017 and beyond. So I'm looking forward to kind of updating you as plans for that develop. Questions on that? Before there's the other thing that I wanted to just ask today. We are asking for permission from the Selectmen to make a very modest.
That's, I think, is the next item.
Oh, you want to wait until that? Okay.
So we'll wait till we
So
get
any
to that.
questions on
But just in terms of this, and then in terms of
Sure.
collaborating, I think that one of the best examples of that was July 5th, a couple years ago, where
Right.
the Chamber Economic Development, the FTC, and the museum all came together for just a fabulous, fun family day on the green there.
Right. So for the past decade, since we opened the museum, we've demonstrated through tremendously successful events here that have drawn literally thousands of Fairfielders down there, that there is a real hunger and interest in having an outdoor community space that has cultural offerings, that has opportunities. The Quick Center, Sacred Heart, many of our cultural partners are interested in sort of being part of that vision. And we're doing actually a meeting with them next week to sort of explore ideas where there may be a summer performance series down here from the Quick Center, or FTC may want to do small events here too. So there are really wonderful possibilities for this green.
Yeah, and I know a number of residents have talked about getting the arts community together so that it's more of a cultural critical mass in terms
Correct.
of how things are done, from money raising to publicity to all of that. And I think one of the models was some of the things they do up in Nantucket, where they bring folks together along those lines.
Yep.
And as much as we have a lot of different cultural opportunities, it's sometimes hard to get the word out on all of those and coordinate events. And I think you've done a great job in terms of at least getting that coordination event initiative off the ground.
Thanks.
So thank you.
I was actually the founder of the Nantucket Arts Alliance, which you're talking
Oh,
about.
wow.
So
All right.
I bring that expertise
Well, I was
forward.
talking to that, just for the record, with some of the folks at Pequot
Yeah.
Library, and they were interested in kind of coordinating with some of that too, so.
No, at the Fairfield Museum, we're very big believers in collaboration. And, we're very fortunate in this community that we have a tremendous, not only mix of cultural resources, but a great spirit of collaboration. And, we really enjoy working with all of our partners because, working together leverages all of our resources for the benefit of the community.
Yeah.
And so I think, it's one of those unspoken things, but Fairfield's very fortunate to have not only a dynamic cultural community, but one that works very, very well together.
Any final questions from the
Well,
board?
thank you for the update. And,
Sure.
Yeah, sounds like it's moving right along based on, I think it was December or January when you were here last,
Right.
yeah.
No, and this has been long in the planning, and I think that, our goal in working with the town through this management agreement is to, these are town resources, right? Burr Mansion's no different than Penfield or what have you. That, these are resources here for the benefit of the community. We're happy to work with the town to find ways, creative ways through outside funding to leverage, town funding and other efforts to make it as good as it can be.
Right.
And to really upgrade it without having to rely on municipal investment.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So it sounds good to me. I'm happy that things are moving forward, and I'm actually excited to see Sun Tavern open. That's something I've been looking forward to for years. Have you reached back to the community to get updated information from them or input to hear other people's questions or concerns as renovations have been going on?
In these historic properties?
Yes.
We have, actually. So over the past several months, we've conducted several online surveys, we have a pretty extensive email list of over 7,000 people. We've put things out in the paper. We've done everything we can to solicit input, and we've actually gotten a lot of great ideas. I can say that the community is universally supportive of what we're planning to do here. And I think, in short, and I'll look forward to come back and to talk a little bit more specifically about this, but, our vision really is to create, in this space between the museum and Sullivan Hall, kind of a dynamic cultural campus that really is open in the season, probably June into October, on the weekends when it's not in conflict with use of these municipal buildings, but that basically, revitalizes this park space as a gathering place for the community, so that there will be education programming for kids, there'll be, appropriate performance or other activities that the community can come out and enjoy on a regular basis. So see it as sort of Sherman Green 2.0.
I think to add into that, though, Mike, you've also worked very closely with some of what I'll call the recurring tenants,
Yes.
or event planners at Burr Mansion. I'm thinking of the Fairfield Christmas Tree Fest folks,
Right.
where you've been working in close coordination, so they know what the improvements are,
Right.
so they know what's happening to the facility.
Right. The one unfortunate part is that, with state funding, everything happens a little bit not as quickly as you would like, and so we would have loved to get this project underway in January when we didn't have events, and so it's just ironically getting underway right when the wedding season's starting. So we're doing a little juggling, and our renters are very kindly tolerating rental toilets and all that sort of stuff, but we're making the best accommodation that we can.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
All right, okay to move on to the next item?
Yep.
All right, Mike, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, on the Fairfield Museum and History Center, to hear, consider, and act upon a request to approve revised rental rates for Burr Mansion. You'll take us through that?
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
So,
hold it. Before, may I have a motion to accept?
I'll make that.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, so that is before us. Mr. Jaley, go right ahead.
sure, thank you. In your packet are two sets of sort of rental rates, and just a little bit about Burr Mansion. It is a town-owned facility, and the town's intent with that facility has always been to make it affordable so that it's accessible, particularly affordable to local residents and particularly affordable to local nonprofits. The space is rented as an event space, and also on the third floor, there are 3 offices that are rented by local nonprofits. 2 of them are used as offices, one of them is just used as sort of a little storage space. The benefit of that has been great because it's been widely used by a whole range of community fundraising events, Christmas Tree Festival, Santa's House, the list goes on. I don't have to. Enchanted Castle. I mean, it's on and on and on. It's also used by both residents and non-residents for weddings and private functions, and we have a rate structure that reflects the discounts accordingly. We keep this rate structure painfully low to make it accessible. The downside of it is it just covers our costs. There's absolutely zero profit margin out of this between paying, we have a staff person on site during events, so paying that staff person, cleaning the place, doing the windows, all that sort of stuff, basically takes away any profit margin out of this. That's why we've been working so hard at this capital investment, because we've never really been able to have the funds to do any sort of significant upgrades beyond painting a room every once in a while. What we are asking, we haven't not had an increase in any of the rental fees since 2013. And I think we were very fortunate over this last year to work with the Jack Welch College School of Business at Sacred Heart students who did a very extensive business plan for the Burr. And as part of that business plan, they did tremendous research on comparables throughout the state to see what facilities what those features those facilities were offering, but also what their rates were and what have you. We are very, very low by comparison, and I believe that that's still the intent of the Selectmen to do that. But our recommendation is that we make some small tweaks to not only update based on the last 3 years, but also to kind of keep us more in line a little bit with what comparables are across the state. So the recommended list is here. It's on average about a 10% increase, which is pretty modest. For the big events, there's more like a 12 to, I think, 14% at the most increase recommended.
I'd offer 2 thoughts on this. Building on what Mike said, is that one, the Burr Mansion has not been in line for annual maintenance on a regular basis. That's one of the reasons we've had to put so many dollars back into it. So the goal going forward is to make sure we stay up on that so that it's cheaper every year rather than waiting 30 years to do a big job and counting on all sorts of state funding and grants to put that together. However, in order to do that, we're going to need some additional monies on a regular basis. So this fee structure starts to address some of that. I think the second thing, as we saw in the new license agreement between the museum and the town, there will be annual reporting back to the town in terms of how they're doing, what the rental fees did, what the budget was. So we will start to see how much money is being raised and what maintenance dollars are getting taken place on an annual basis there. So we'll have a better view on that. So it won't be out of sight, out of mind, as it perhaps has been in the past. Is that a fair?
That's very accurate.
Okay.
And just, in our defense, we always gave a little report, but I think it just kind of went into the paper stream.
Oh,
But yes, I think that
that will be a little more public going forward, yeah.
we're happy to we like to be as transparent as possible. We share the town's vision to use this property to benefit the community, and we're happy to work with the town to do that. And I think we just want to do it so that, it's maintainable, it's sustainable over time.
I think it's a great statement of our heritage, and I think when I've been to events there, you can see people really appreciate the fact this is part of Fairfield. This is part of old Fairfield. They get that same feel going in. It develops, I think, a greater appreciation for our town, our character, and our heritage as we go through that. So, any questions from the board, or are we okay voting on these?
Okay, so, used the term profit a couple times there. Is that profit going to be transferred towards capital projects? Or
So
is that
Sure. So the museum manages the rental of Burr Mansion. We keep a separate accounting of income that comes in and where those expenses go. Most of the expenses, as I mentioned, cover staffing and management of the space, cleaning and what have you. Some of the money that's left over at the end of the year, we do reinvest in painting, or we did the floors. So the town pitched in some, we pitched in some. So we try to work together to do ongoing maintenance issues. There really isn't typically enough generated to do anything major capital. I mean, the profit, if there ever is about, $1,500 to maybe $2,500. It's not a significant amount of money.
is that $1,500 per event or?
Like end of the year.
End of the year. Yeah. No, I didn't
Total.
know.
This is about as finely tuned a fee structure as you can get.
And again, hopefully that by having those annual reports here come formally before the board, as the agreement said, we will see that. So
Right.
you're asking the right questions. We'll get to see that and get a flavor for that going forward.
Yep.
Have you reached out to the nonprofits who regularly use it in regards to the fee hike?
We have to many of them, so some of the major ones.
Right.
What's interesting this year is, and this is, I think, a testament to the evolving special event landscape just in Fairfield and around here. A number of the big events are not happening this year. So Christmas Tree Festival is taking a hiatus, as is the Haunted Enchanted Castle. Some of the other ones, they're finding that these big events are difficult to organize and sustain. So they're reassessing, which is timely because this gives us time to do this work that we've been going to do. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. Believe me, these organizations get a really good deal.
Right.
I mean, Christmas Tree Festival, nets about $250,000 out of their event. And so what they pay for rental is it's a small part of their budget.
All right, thank you. Okay to go to the public.
Yep.
Any comments from the public? All right, seeing none, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Hi.
All right, Mike,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you all so much.
right.
Appreciate it.
And look forward to the financial update.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we would come back to item 5. We postponed item 5. Chris,
Thank
waiting
you.
for arrival. To hear, consider, and act upon the following appointments from land acquisition. Tara Holly, Republican, 159 North Cedar Road, for a term 11/14 to 11/18 as an alternate, and that's to fill a vacancy created by Aziz Sayal, whose term expired, and James Pura, Republican, 1158 Mill Hill Road, for a term 11/12 to 11/16, also an alternate, to fill a vacancy for Linda Batchelder, who moved to a full member. Okay to take these together?
Yes.
Yes.
May I have a motion to accept? And a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Any question on Tara? And there we are. And is James here?
No.
No. Okay. Any questions from the board?
Thank you for serving.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. You stepping up and volunteering to do this, and look forward to hearing updates from the board in the future.
And it's the first time the board's been full in a while, right? We've had some empty spots on that one?
These, I can't tell that from here.
Yeah, I think so, but, yeah, thank you.
Okay. And Tara, we had a great conversation, so I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come in and meet with me earlier. Any further discussion by the board? Ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Congratulations and thank you. All right, that's there. Next up is the tax collector items. to consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount recommended. May I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
A second?
I'll second it.
All right. Any amendments?
I'd like to make an amendment.
All right.
To change the total to 80, make an amendment to remove the period at the end of the sentence and add a comma, followed by the amount of $87,240.26, period.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. The amendment's before us. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The amount as, item as amended is before us. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you all. Next up, private executive session with the town attorney pending 2 legal items. May I have a motion to go into private executive session?
I'll make a motion.
A second? Somebody second.
Second.
All right, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I could ask to